All right, hey guys, welcome to another episode of MBA Success Stories with my friend Pradeep from a long time, my junior in middle school and high school. Um, Pradeep graduated from the Smith School of Business at Queen's University in Canada in 2017 and has been working with Deloitte Consulting for the last 3 years.
Yep.
Welcome, Pradeep. Thanks so much for doing this interview and helping out future MBA candidates.
Thanks for having me here, Ashwin.
Cool, man. Look, we're going to talk about a few different things. Let's recap your journey to Queen's. Let's talk about what you were doing before your MBA. We'll talk about the MBA program itself, particularly your memories of the Queen's MBA program, given that it's a one-year program, the challenges that you faced, how you managed to get a pretty prestigious consulting job offer. And then we'll look at some of the career opportunities that's available for any future candidates that are pursuing an MBA from Queen's. And we'll wrap it up with some questions around culture of the school, etc., so that others have a flavor for it and can understand what it takes to apply to a school like this. Yeah,
Sounds good. Yeah.
Cool, man. What were you doing before MBA?
So before my MBA, I was working with Accenture. I was working primarily in their infrastructure management division. So you're primarily on working Microsoft-based projects, Microsoft products, helping clients transform their internal infrastructure, both the front end and the back end. And so I've been working with that team for the past 6.5 years before I started my MBA.
You were an engineer by training based out of India, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Right.
So you did your engineering, you gave your GMAT, you were working at Accenture for 6.5 years, you gave your GMAT, you were thinking about getting an MBA. Tell us really, what were you thinking at that time when you were considering getting your MBA? What was the motivation and the impetus for you to apply for an MBA program?
One of my main reasons was career growth and aspirations. What I mean by that
Accenture
is
wasn't giving you the necessary career growth.
it was, but in terms of what I was expecting was like, there's only limited knowledge in terms of what's happening in my project. It's what's happening. How's that affecting a client, right? I want to get to know more about how do even client decide on this solution that they decided, like why this, what are the different factors that contributed to this. So understanding that required, like talking to more people and understanding that required me to have much more bigger understanding of the organization itself, the goal of the organization, what is it they want to do, how is this fitting in their goals, and that kind of helps me also understand, like, grow up in that career ladder and want to be in the business side of things, business side of technology to be specific, right? Since I've been doing a lot of hands-on, I want to grow myself in the career and be on the business side of things, and eventually see myself in those kind of roles. I spoke to a couple of people, got to know their insights about how an MBA helps and how it helped their career. And I also spoke to a couple of current students from various universities to understand how this actually helped them. I also spoke to a couple of alumni, and all of them gave me similar examples about how it's actually helped their career boost, like some of the things which weren't honed in their skills, like leadership skills is something which they never had the opportunity to work on. Like the MBA helped them get that. Team management skills.
So it wasn't that you weren't learning at Accenture. It's just that you found yourself, much like many engineers who are still looking to pursue MBA internationally, you found yourself in a position where you weren't as exposed to leadership skills as you would like to.
Yep.
B, you weren't exposed to the front lines of business decision making, but
That's
rather the bane, unfortunately, of working in large companies like this in India is that you get some of the tail end of the IT work as opposed to frontline decision making along with the clients, unless you're in that particular region or working for clients in India itself. Right.
Exactly.
So a few of these drivers really motivated. Was there any financial motivation? Because for me, I know the MBA was like, hey, why don't I multiply my
Definitely, MBA. That financial motivation is always there.
Okay,
that's
good.
also one of the factors which contributed to it.
Of course. And many others who are not software developers in India who are getting paid a lot of money these days, but others who are working in these larger companies that don't get paid as much are looking to go in the front lines and therefore multiply their income potential as well. Okay,
True.
great. Why did you choose Canada as a location to apply in 2016?
Um, so US and Canada had been one of my had been the top of my list in terms of MBA applications, because I had a couple of friends studying in both US and Canadian colleges, some of them in Rotman, for example, which is based of Toronto. And they would tell me about their experiences of how great Rotman is, what kind of program it is. So the more I got to know about Canadian opportunities, the kind of programs that they have, I also started researching about other MBA colleges in Canada. And I kind of stumbled upon Queen's and Ivy. And so I started reaching out to more people there, understanding how the program is, and also helps in, since I'm an international student, it also helps me in getting the work visa, which is very important for us to work on, right? Like, so US has the H-1B restrictions and the challenges associated with it. Canada doesn't have that actually.
Even
If you
now.
finish a 1 year, even now, if you finish a 1 year MBA, you get a 1 year to 3 year work permit depending on your program, if it's a full time or part time or a evening time college.
So maybe let's jump tracks. But do you know if people pursuing the Smith MBA from Queens
Yeah, yeah,
get a 3-year work permit after their 1-year program?
yeah. I'm
Okay,
one of those folks. Like, we specifically wrote a separate letter to the immigration office mentioning that our 1 year MBA is equal to a 2 year MBA program that you see in Rotman or other colleges. Right, the credits are the same, and
right.
so it's valid for us to even get a 3 year work permit. And some of them got
Wow,
it. It's a case by case basis, though.
understood.
So that's why only some of them got it.
And you were one of them. But at least what you get is
Yep.
a 1-year work permit that gives you the
Yeah.
opportunity to slowly dig your feet in
Yeah.
and figure out what job opportunities there are.
True.
Okay, great. Uh, if you can, let's go back to the application process itself. Let's talk about the essays that you wrote and the interview process, etc., until you got your admit. What was it like specifically for Queens? What were some of the challenges, and what did you learn in that process of applying that you can share with everybody else?
Um, it's been quite some time since I wrote the
Yes, I
application
know you're digging your
process.
memories on this one.
Yeah. I think one of the main things is about why MBA,
Right.
and understanding and putting our reasons, my reasons specifically as to why I want to do it. Um, and so the challenge there was connecting my career growth with what Queens has to offer.
Okay.
And since I had limited knowledge on the university, I had to rely a lot on alumni,
Okay.
current students,
Good.
the site,
Good.
and also like forums like GMAT Club and Beat the GMAT, like folks who are actually doing that. I used to talk to them and figure out if folks like me with such a background like this, does it make sense to join Queens? Does my career get accentuated there?
If you can remember, by the way, this is great. Most people don't even research the website, let alone speak to students or alumni or go to forums. During our time when we were applying, there weren't interviews like this available for students, for Indians who are looking to apply, where they can hear and see directly from an alum as well. That's one of the motivations for me to do this. But if you can go back, um, what were some of the things that you learned, particularly from students and alumni, that made you believe that yes, the Queen's MBA program can help you in your career growth? Do you recall some of these insights that you got?
Um, it's kind of tough to remember that, because all I know was, at least I can tell you the process of what I did.
Right.
Maybe that
Let's
might
go
help
through that. Yep.
students. That uh, my main friend was LinkedIn at that time.
Okay.
I mean, even now. And
Right.
so I used to always research folks who are studying at this school
Right.
at Queens,
Right.
connect with the folks who are from my background, just so that I can relate to what their uh, you know their thought process was before choosing Queens,
Mm-hmm.
so that I get an idea that Queens is actually a good choice for me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had a couple of chats with folks who are in technology backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
and got to know their idea of why Queens is a good choice for them.
Okay.
And I kind of rationalized that, got a lot more information talking to 2-3 folks and realized, okay, Queens is like one of the target schools I should apply to because there's a lot of support for people with my background. And given that I was looking to go more into technology, like stay in the technology sector, but more on the business side of things like consulting,
Right.
I realized that Queens does have a good support structure there. I
Okay.
started researching alumni as well on LinkedIn. I figured out, okay, there are actually a good set of alumni in really good consulting firms,
Okay.
like in BCG, Deloitte, KPMG, PwC. Like all of them are doing pretty well in terms of uh, uh, how they've progressed in their careers, like even looking at their LinkedIn profiles, right? And so I kind of got the intuition that I think this is a good fit because I can see those folks actually aligned in their careers and I think in what they wanted to do. And I felt, okay, this is also a good target school I should apply for. And which is why I kept that in my list. And I
Okay.
think I would say that those are my learnings there.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I recap these steps. These process steps are actually quite extraordinary. It's one of the things that I cover. I call them when I work with any MBA students,
Yeah.
I call them career twins. Essentially,
Okay.
those that have had a similar background, who are doing, for instance, software development at some of these large houses, whether testing or whatever it is in these big houses in India, and
Mm-hmm.
have pursued a similar career trajectory of going into technology consulting in the front
Mm-hmm.
end at an international location, right? So what
Yeah.
you did was go onto LinkedIn, see people with similar background as you,
Yeah.
identify those, contact them, speak to them, ask them how it is that they used the Queen's MBA and whether there was enough support structure, etc., for them to make that transition from where
Yeah.
they were and where you were as a software developer, etc., whatever,
Yeah.
and how they made that transition to technology consulting, so that you could
Yeah.
map that career trajectory and how Queens could help you in that path.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
This is extraordinarily important. And then what you did in addition is validate by looking at other alumni who have followed
Yeah.
a similar trajectory to see if there is enough examples, enough
Yeah.
cases of people who have made this similar jump.
True. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Do you recall much about the interview process at all? What was it like? Was it easy? Was it difficult? If you could share a couple of insights from that.
I think I may be wrong. I think I had a 1 round interview or maybe 2 rounds. But I think I just 1 round, at least I can clearly remember, was with the AdCom committee. One was uh, with the admissions lead, and the other one was with the placements coordinator or placements lead.
Okay.
And they were trying to understand why the MBA
Right.
and how is my goals aligned with that.
Right.
And they want to know about what is it about Queens that I know.
Right.
Like and talking to alumni actually helped a lot because
Yeah.
they shared a couple of things which is not found on the website, right? Like we have something called Point Four, which is basically
What is that?
a drinking session every Thursday
Mm.
with the whole class. I mean, you can obviously it's voluntary.
Right.
And the idea behind the number point 4 is that your GPA can reduce by point 0.4 or increase by point 0.4 after that, right?
Oh,
So
I know how it can reduce by 0.4. Tell me how it can increase by 0.4
I
by.
don't know. There are maybe the alcohol is a booster for some people, I guess.
Is it maybe those people that don't drink that can increase their GPA by 0.4 because
Possibly,
everybody else
possibly.
will? Interesting.
So
Okay,
like,
yeah. I've looked at your website. I didn't see 0.4 anywhere. So perhaps,
yeah,
yeah.
it's informal student thing. So it's like tiny tidbits like this actually makes a lot of difference in what you know about this college, about the university, than just reading the website or getting
Uh,
to internal information.
in fact, I've seen this quite similarly from most of the Canadian schools, as well as some
Mm-hmm.
European schools, for instance, HEC and places like these, that even their AdCom, the interviewers tend to focus in a very customized manner at a student's journey and offer a lot more touch points like Queens and Rotman and Ivy and all these places do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for anybody who's applying to Canadian schools, they should really be encouraged by the amount of touch point that these schools offer.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in the curriculum and the learning journey as well in terms of what Smith offers, because I think that's pretty unique to most MBA programs that I've seen. They do something quite unique. Okay, so now you got an admit.
Yeah.
You are ready to join. Queens has an odd start date. It's not your typical fall start.
Yeah.
Right? It's a
They start from
January to
Jan to
December
December.
cycle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Um, when you went to Canada, let's talk about the entire 1 year program, right? Now, typically on a 2 year program, you get enough ramp up time,
Yeah,
academically, recruiting to build yourself up, network with a lot of companies that come on campus, get
yeah,
yourself an internship. Even if you fail at the internship, you can re-up and have another shot at the
yeah.
full-time offer while you're balancing and spacing out your entire academic credits. Like you
Mm.
said at the top of the hour, that the academic load was the same.
Yeah.
What was it like to manage the entire process academically as well as from a recruiting standpoint at Smith within 1 year?
It was tremendous. The first, so one of my, this is my personal thought process of how I want to use the program. Um, Smith has a very, very strong alumni network across Canada and also in US, right? And so I leveraged that network through LinkedIn even before I started my program at Queens. So I
Give us
started,
some insights on what you did.
um, so like talking to more people at Queens, students who are actually, I mean, current students who are actually doing their MBA program, or even folks who are passed out. I kind of set up those connections to ensure that when I'm in Canada, I can go meet them rather than me trying to make new connections then and then having, getting that lag. I'm trying to reduce that time lag in trying to make those connections again, or rather start it when I go to school. Like I didn't see any reason for me to wait till I go to school to start those connections, right? So
Did
I
you
kind of
just
set.
send them LinkedIn notes and said, "Hey, I'm coming to the MBA program. Is it okay if I contact you once I'm there?" Or did you send something and say, "Hey, can I get on calls with you to understand?"
I did both.
Got it.
I did have a couple of calls with them as well, and some of them I told them like, I'm going to start my MBA at Queens this Jan, probably somewhere mid of Jan, end of Jan. I would be, in Toronto. I would like to create. It'd be great if we catch up over a cup of coffee, just to meet and greet and just introduce myself, and just I want to build that relationship and stay in the network.
What was the
And
response like from many of them?
most of them were actually very good. They're very helpful. I understand some of them are very busy. January is kind of a busy time here, and so most of them are very busy. Like even though they couldn't meet me in person, we were at least get on calls,
Got it.
and that helped me build that relationships with many people.
Got it.
Um, I was like a lot of my prime area was network and get to know, because networking is one of the most essential part in getting jobs in North America. And the more networks, I wouldn't say the more effectively you network with your alumni, or folks that are whom you look up to and want to reach out to. I think that helps in building your case for recruitment and getting interview calls. At least even introducing yourself to more people in their team so that you can get to know more about their company or their teams or how they work and everything.
Got it. So when you said effectively, you're not necessarily thinking network with a higher volume of students and
Yeah,
alumni, but rather network deeper, as in
deeper
connect
with.
with those that you're
Exactly.
interested in potentially working with, or in companies
Yeah,
that you're potentially working with, and try
yeah,
and have more meaningful conversations with them, and
exactly,
possibly ask them to refer you to more people within the company that you can
exactly,
build a network with. Got
exactly.
it. Okay, that's extremely useful. I want to touch upon the curriculum, but before that, talk about the pressures of actually getting a job as an international candidate without having the cushion of an internship. How did you manage that over the year? Did you
It
recruit for technology consulting through campus, or did you do it mainly off campus?
so one of the things Queens has is with some of the companies as they come on campus to recruit MBA students. Deloitte had a Deloitte distinction program
Okay.
where they specifically come on campus to recruit MBA students somewhere in June,
Okay.
and here they actually identify a set of students that they want to um, be. I mean, they identify a set of potential candidates that they think would be a good fit for Deloitte,
How did they
and
make that assessment, in your opinion?
I think it was based on the cover letter, the resume. I think it's only those two, um, those two parts which they made an assessment on, and based on what my goal is and how um, um, what my goal is and how Deloitte actually fits in that kind of came up in the cover letter.
Gotcha. And obviously the people that you had networked with from at Deloitte, you had the opportunity to actually mention that in the cover letter and
Yeah,
showcase
yeah,
insights of what you learned from all of them.
yes,
This is why you connected with them, etc.,
yeah,
etc., etc. So I'm
yeah.
just tying in the two together. Okay, great. So Deloitte comes it in June, which is midway through your Queen's MBA
Midway to the
program.
process, yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
then Deloitte then has a couple of internal rounds within their distinction program. You have a team presentation to partners. You have some team and group activities um, with other schools as well. Like, since the distinction program is not specific to just Queens, it also has it for Ivy and for Rotman as well.
Gotcha.
And so, since Ivy and Deloitte and Queen are just 1 year MBA programs, we are kind of brought together,
Got it.
and we've made to work as in different teams and group activities, which they monitored and evaluated us on.
Got it.
And the final day was we had 2 rounds of interview, one with two different partners.
Okay. I
Um,
assume case and fit interview both.
yes, both.
Okay.
Yes,
So
case and fit.
interesting. So this distinction program offers something a little more unique than just your traditional. Here are 5 back-to-back cases and fits. It
Yeah,
also does team-based working where they monitor and view. Okay, how is it that you work with teams, and then presenting to the partners to see how
yeah,
you can deliver insights within a certain period of time based on whatever the team-based event was. Okay,
yeah,
that's great. I've seen some of the consulting companies do similar things as well, which is interesting.
yeah,
Um, Based on what we're looking at from when I look at the site, for anybody that wants to look at what the career opportunities are, please go to smith.queensu.ca. It looks like 2019 statistics indicate that roughly 40% of the class went into financial services,
yeah.
and roughly 35% went to consulting. So between financial services and consulting, you have the vast majority of people that do get placed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you aware, based on more recent trends or conversations with alumni now, or based on your experience in Deloitte itself, that the same trend continues?
So when I joined, the previous class also had similar trends of more finance heavy,
Gotcha.
and consulting followed after that. Primarily because the big 5 banks here in Canada have a specific tailored leadership program for MBA students, uh, which helps them uh, you know push them up in the levels of director or BP levels within the banks,
Mm-hmm.
considering that you have an MBA. And so these kind of leadership programs attracts a lot of folks who want to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Consulting falls next, and since a lot of folks want to get into consulting and it's a big industry out here, we have big four consulting firms. You have BCG, Bain, and McKinsey, right? And so all of them are always looking to hire, and that's something which even most of our classmates want to do. Even the previous set of batchmates also did it. So I'm guessing that's been a trend here because there's still a lot of potential hiring and a lot of requirement for those kind of folks here.
Got it. Yeah. The school's employment by function indicates that consulting not only includes your traditional management consulting, but also includes corporate strategy roles
Yep.
within various. So it
With
could be within banks or with various leadership programs
yep.
within each of these areas, specifically if it relates to the corporate strategy function. But
Yep.
then your general leadership management programs are there also in your general management function, which is a
Yeah.
separate
Yeah.
cadre of recruiting itself. So for anybody interested in looking at what the career opportunities are like, particularly if you're interested in financial services or consulting as industry, or corporate strategy as sectors, or finance as sectors, you should consider the Queen's MBA program. We talked a little off air. What was your overall recollection of what the academic rigor and your academic experience and learnings from the Queen's MBA program?
So the Queen's MBA program is primarily a team-based program. Everyone in the class is split into teams, extremely diverse set of teams, team members.
Give us a
Um,
glimpse of what your team construct was like.
so in my team, I think there were 2 techies, one from construction, one from finance, one from marketing, um, and one from, I think, mining.
Jeez. Okay.
And so we had like a very diverse set of group, diverse team, right? And then people had their own thoughts and backgrounds and ideas and how we approach a problem. And so this, I think, the goal of this was to use those different mindsets to actually work on different problems and different cases or presentations, and leverage that and bringing it out to your uh, classmates in terms of presentations or even case studies. And so
Insights and thoughts that you can share
insights
with
and
the
thoughts,
class,
exactly.
and bring in a diverse viewpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, so we also so as part of, since it's heavily team based, we were also our even our sitting our study tables was also part of the team. Like we all sat in the same room. The whole team sat in the same room, and we had a team coach assigned to us who used to
We'll come to the coach part, because I think this is probably one of the more unique offerings of any MBA program, and it's only I've only observed it in Smith. Maybe other programs are emulating it as well. But before we do that, from various academic specializations, you have an opportunity to actually specialize within the 1 year, or just get a general management MBA program. And if you specialize, you can get a degree or a graduate certificate in addition to
yeah,
the MBA, correct? What are
yeah.
the various specializations that are available for candidates?
During my time, I think specializations included consulting, finance, entrepreneurship, and innovation, analytics. I think now they've added a couple of more programs and specializations to it. And
Yeah,
so the specializations starts in the second half of the year. From the first 6 months is all mandatory courses that the whole class takes.
gotcha.
Second 6 months is your specialization that you want to work on,
Got it.
and that course can be tailored based on how you want it.
Got it.
You can take 4 courses in 1 month or 3 courses and then take the next 2 in the next month. Like it's up to you, and that kind of determines when you finish your program as well. So folks kind of took a lot of courses upfront and finished their program by October, while
Got it.
some people kind of spread it over the whole year and finish it by December. So
Got it.
it's up to you, and so it's kind of that specialization gives you that free hand in determining how you want to run that specialization.
Yeah, Smith has since your time in 2017, Smith has added digital transformation, marketing and sales, as well as a couple of the specializations for those that choose to. And there's a wide variety of courses that you can choose from in order to tailor that second half.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to the actual academic experience. You are given the same team that the school assigns for the
Yeah.
entire duration of the year.
We are given the same team that school assigns till the mandatory section of the year. That's the first 6 months
only. Okay.
Yeah. Once a specialization starts, depending on what course or which specialization that you've chosen, you form teams for each course.
Understood.
So yeah, I mean, for one course you could have one team. For another course you could have a different set of team that you're working on.
Understood. Okay, now let's talk about the unique offering, because I don't know of any other school that has this. Tell me about the team-based coaching that you receive, that is both individual and collectively as a team within Smith.
So one of the best things about Queens was about the team coach that each team is assigned to. So the team coach is basically helping the team evolve through the program, because all of us have different backgrounds. We've never met each other. Understanding each other's mindsets, the way we approach things, could result in a lot of
Conflict.
conflict or miscommunication or and of that sort. And so the team coach kind of comes in between and helps us understand, improve the team dynamics, team communication, observes how we are working together as a team through presentations or simply by sitting in the team room and working on some assignment, and kind of understand and figures out like what are key areas that we should focus on. Like if someone's really good at finance and and he's giving a lot of ideas, the idea is to leverage that skill set and then use it in your assignments and presentations, rather than having some kind of ego conflict where someone feels left out, and because he's talking a lot doesn't mean he becomes like a team lead indirectly, right? And
Right.
so the idea was that the team coach kind of uses that feature, and the one of the biggest part of our team-based learning was every assignment or every project uh, had a team lead, which the
Okay.
team internally kind of decided
Chose by
and
consensus. Yeah.
chose the consensus. The thing is, the only caveat is that the subject that this person is going to be a team lead, he should have zero experience in that. Like if I'm from tech, I should lead on more finance or marketing, so that I take the onus and responsibility, and that gives me the exposure to learn more because I'm leading the whole team. The whole team's responsibility is on me, and I leverage the team accordingly to get the right information and kind of deliver the projects or assignments or
Uh,
any activities, right?
I mean, for me, I think this is just phenomenal. I look back to my MBA journey at Ross, um, and my current executive fellowship at MIT, and I don't think there is a structure
Hmm.
offered or specialized team coaching that's offered that really helps you do two things. When I think about the time at Ross, it really, the first 6 months, it took a lot of effort to acclimatize both culturally as well as in terms of the leadership styles, because everybody in business school wants to be a leader. Nobody wants to not be a leader, if you want. You know what I mean? Everybody's
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
there to
yeah. I get
explore
it.
their leadership skills and tend to have a A-type personality and tend to want to dominate to a certain extent.
Yeah,
To be able to have somebody actually facilitate and sensitize the entire team, culturally, as well as hone in on strengths where you don't have them, expose
yeah,
you to a skill set or a function which you don't have your background in, I think
yeah.
is enormously helpful for companies that are recruiting from the program as well, because they're getting
Definitely.
somebody that has invested time in training and building up their team based skills rather
Yeah,
than only the leadership skills.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
I think this is incredible. Um, what is an integrated team project?
So the integrate team project is an over and above project that you have. It's a project that you have over and above the curriculum that you're currently running, right? Like you have the whole curriculum running for the whole year, and apart from that, you have this external team project that you as a team have to finish within the 6 months of the first 6 months of your of your time in the MBA program. And so here, you have one client who has a
Okay,
business problem.
okay,
Ours was a Kingston Economic Development Authority,
okay,
and their business problem was they were looking on ways to involve the Kingston community into their initiatives. And
okay,
so they want to know what are the different ways that they could improve it,
okay.
and how we should go about it. Is it just a marketing issue, or is it just communication or execution? Like they didn't know
Understood.
that. And so this is one client which was common for all the 12 teams that we had in our class.
Oh
And so
wow.
we had an opportunity where probably every month or every 2 months, where the whole team would sit with the client, get to know their problems, or next time we come back with our findings and what possible solutions are. And every 3 months we used to present them with our phase one solution, and the next after 3 months would be like phase two solution that is built up on phase one, and kind
Understood.
of narrow down our solution to one particular thing based on what we've gathered in the 6 months. So it's like a consulting project that the whole team undertakes, and it's a lot of exposure that you get there because it's like actual client that you're sitting with,
So it's an
and
actual
actually
experiential or action based learning
exactly,
uh,
exactly,
program
yeah,
within the MBA, in addition to your academic curriculum and the
exactly,
academic projects that you have as a part of each of the courses, right? This is
yeah,
in
yeah,
addition to it. Very
yeah,
interesting. All of them are given the same client? All teams within
yes,
your cohort? Wow.
yes.
So they
There's one
get
client.
diverse viewpoints of from
Exactly,
various teams, and then they can pick and choose what they implement.
exactly. Some team might think based on their understanding, they may think it's a marketing issue, right? So
Hmm.
they may think of marketing strategy. Some
Hmm.
people would think it's more of a execution problem, right? The way the kind of initiatives that they have, maybe they're not executing it properly. Then they pick up one initiative and they say, okay, let's do it this way, and you might have this much so and so results,
Hmm.
right? So each team kind of gives their own viewpoints, and that's kind of evaluated and then assessed to figure out whether that actually makes it's feasible or not. Because uh, the solution that we give, it's not supposed to change every month or every 2 months, because you got to, since a consultant, you got to figure out and understand the whole setup, the whole problem,
Yeah.
and not keep changing, thinking like, hey, maybe it's a marketing thing today, maybe tomorrow it's something execution or project management or leadership, right? You got to figure out, you got to understand, take that information and understand,
Understand the
analyze, and
problem, have a
decide.
hypothesis, and then come at actually
Exactly,
the solution, and then
exactly.
refine it from there. Well, it
Yeah,
makes complete sense. I'm extremely impressed with how they're facilitated within a 1 year program. I think it's quite holistic for even for companies that are recruiting. I have not
yeah,
known any other program within both Canada and the US that actually facilitate a team-based coaching that offer a 6-month work experience within your entire program in
yeah.
lieu of an internship. I think it's pretty incredible. Well done, Smith. Um, I want to talk about two things
Okay,
as we wrap this up. Number
okay,
one, when I met you in Toronto in 2017,
okay,
I remember talking about your MBA experience, 2018, when I met you. I
okay.
remember talking
Yeah,
about your MBA experience, and you told me one particular thing that could speak to the cultural aspect of Smith. You told me that the small class size meant that you actually got to know people really, really well,
oh yeah,
who
yeah,
were very willing to help you put you in touch even with their family members who are in leadership positions at various
yeah, yeah.
companies, and then get you the exposure and opportunities for you to actually recruit. Can you talk about that couple of experiences around that?
Uh, One of the benefits of Queen's MBA
What is the
is the
class size,
small
by the
class
way?
size. I think it was 80 when I joined. I think maybe it's increased now. I'm not really sure, but it's 80 people, and everyone knew everybody, right? It's either through teams, or you're just talking to people, or you just bump into them in their own team rooms. I mean, like, you always kind of know everybody, and everyone knows your name as well. So it's a very good small family kind of a community, and 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 it's very helpful in the sense that uh, in terms of projects that you want to work on, like one of the key things that we had is individual projects. Like, apart from this integrated project, we also had individual projects, which we had to personally go out, or maybe the Queen's MBA also provides you to find a client that, and help them with one of their business problems that they have, right? Some Queens had some local clients that you could work with, or you
Mm-hmm.
could go out and find clients. Um, the client that I worked with a team of two, like myself and one other person, and we worked with my classmate's dad, who's a VP at Nokia,
Hmm.
and he had a problem with one of his business problems at his team, and we kind of volunteered to help that. I mean, this kind of connections it's only possible because of the kind of community that we have at Queens. Like, it's very well close, well knit. Like, my teammate was very more than happy enough to introduce me to her dad, and we get the project. And that also helped me with my networking as well, right? And so, like, this kind of relationships it's very vital. Like, it even helps post our MBA as well, right? And I still try to keep contacts with all of them, and try to connect with them wherever possible, because it's a very good culture that we have set up here.
I love I love Ross. I love my MBA experience at Ross, but with the 500 class size, like I didn't know everybody. In fact, to a point where I was talking with a classmate of mine who's also who's moved to India, and I was talking with him just 2 weeks ago, and he told me about a couple of classmates of ours that I did not even know
No
existed. And
existed.
I actually went on LinkedIn to look at him because he was telling a few stories about them. I'm sure most don't know me either, and so it's just the same, which was distinctly different from. I remember sitting in the restaurant in Toronto where you and I were discussing, and you told me this story about this person who
Yeah,
connected you with her family, and that was a
yeah.
distinct example that stuck in my head about a small class size that I often quote to many students, and the benefits of it. Um, I want to wrap with one thing. If you go on the Smith site, it says the culture of the school. It's renowned for excellence, innovation, and leadership in business education. I want to leave that aside. It speaks about cultural diversity, team dynamics, social impact, etc., 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 which a lot of schools do. But there's one thing: the individual and team coaching, and then the personal attention that I want to re-emphasize, in addition to the collaborative learning. You've already given a couple of examples. Is there anything that you thought stood out to you about your Queen's Smith MBA experience that you still profoundly remember?
One thing I remember is that we had a dedicated career coach. This
This is in
career
addition to
coach,
this group-based, team-based coach,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. So this career coach is someone from the placement committee uh, who helps you out with basically what you're looking at post MBA, and what are the target companies that you look at, who are the target alumni you could connect with. Also helps you with your resume, with your cover letters, with any interview preparations. It kind of sits with you and coaches you on how to navigate through this whole process, because it's really helpful, because being an international student, getting to know the local culture can be daunting at times. And a coach like this, who's already been in this system, is very valuable in terms of understanding how he can put you into the system, and where could be the first points of contact that you should actually have, and kind of build further and further away into that whole network.
Yeah.
And so this career coach is extremely valuable and helps you with your um, post MBA job that you're looking at. And I mean, it's not just, the connection doesn't just go away after you finish MBA. You can still reach out to them in case you have any problems, any questions, recruiting tips, because they're very experienced folks in terms of how they know the system works within Canada.
And you've also gone back after your MBA and spoken to the next class, the 2018 class,
Yes.
about how they can emulate the same path that you had
Yes.
chosen, right? Facilitate
Yes.
that,
Yes.
giving back to that network as well. I've
True.
seen that your school has multiple different coaches: executive coach, leadership coach, group coach, your career coach. They have a whole bunch of coaches. Maybe there are new things that they have also introduced in addition. But I think the thing that Smith does not highlight, and if for anybody that wants to look into it, go into culture at Smith and look at the things that are links to collaborative learning and individual and team coaching. But the thing they don't highlight is a personal attention, and I think that is the icing on the cake. By giving you personalized attention, they're really facilitating something incredible. I want to wrap up. Is there anything that you think we haven't covered that will be useful for international candidates, especially Indians looking to get into Smith or other Canadian programs? What's one piece of advice or that you'd like to part with?
My personal this could be applicable to any program, but I think one of the key things that helped me during the MBA was we had a diverse class of folks from different backgrounds, from 2 years experience to 14 years experienced folks, and the kind of inputs that came into the class could be easily discernible in terms of how mature their responses were to things. And so I would say, like, if you're looking for a 1-year program, like, try to get at least five years of work experience before applying to it, because a lot of it you can relate to with what's happening in the program. Because in those 5 years you go through a different process, you learn the system much more, and that you can relate to in the MBA and also post the MBA. If you're having like 1 or 2 years of work experience and you're applying to a 1-year program, I would say hold off for it, because it may not be as helpful as you think it might be. You might have to struggle a bit because your lack of work experience could put you in a bad position, and also kind of inputs that you're bringing into the class and also to your team, right? And so the maturity matters a lot, I would say, and that kind of contributes a lot in your MBA program as well.
Interesting. Much appreciate the interview. This was long pending. Thank you so much for doing this. For anybody who's interested in Queen's Smith MBA, I'm going to put them in touch with you so that they can learn more about the program.
Happy to help.
Thanks so much, Pradeep. Have a great career in consulting and Deloitte and wherever you go. Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, Ashwin.